One of the most incredible things I find about my life is that a lot of the things that I do now, that I get all the accolades for and that I'm really good at and so on and so forth, are the things that I didn't get any formal training. You know, it was just a gift. You ever heard of Skid Row? You know, I don't know how people define Skid Row, but Skid Row for me is when, you know, the way I've tried to figure it out, it's like when all of a sudden it seems like life just slams on the brakes and your car skids out of control. There was a point in my life where I ended up there, you know, homeless and not really knowing what I wanted to do, where I was going. Felt like no one cared, you know, when you're out there and you're homeless and, you know, no one, you know, really looking for you, you kind of figure like no one cares. So then you're just like, well, if no one else cares about me, why should I care about me? I just knew that I just kept praying to God every day that, you know, that He would, you know, rescue me. I went from this kid in 5th grade, 6th grade that nobody really cared about, didn't have many friends, you know, went to high school here in Buffalo, left, went to California, got a new start on life somewhat, and then to get exposed to all the things I got exposed living on the West Coast just created, you know, a whole opportunity for me. A few people gave me an opportunity and I went for it, you know, and so I wanted to let kids know that that opportunity will exist too. The guy who called me and asked me to take his place in the job was here in Buffalo. He came last week for the Monday Night Football game. And I'm driving around, I go get him from the hotel, driver said, Brian, I said, I don't know if you know how instrumental you were on me changing my life. I decided to take him back to, I said, remember that phone call you called me? I said, you don't know, but the night before that, man, I was out there in the streets just lost. You know, I said, and it was that night that I ran home and cried myself to sleep. And that morning, your phone call came. And that phone call, it was the phone call that allowed me to turn my life around. God used him and said, hey, you call this young man and give him your job. And that was, you know, the first time I was able to really start feeling self-worth. When you learn a construction, you learn a trade, you learn how to do something, you know. And then when I look back at what I built, because the guy was like a drill sergeant. I mean, this guy, he would just, it was days I was like, I don't know why I'm even listening to this guy. I'm not coming back tomorrow. And he made me build a garage, a really nice garage, really big garage. But it wasn't until about 2-3 years later that I came back and looked at it and appreciated what I built. And he didn't help me. He told me what to do and he made me do it. I feel so good about that because that's when I decided, you know what? You know, I can be something, I can do something. I am, you know, I do have some self-worth. And I reflect back on it a lot of times and think, you know, whenever I'm in a situation where I'm not succeeding, I look back on the times when I almost gave up on myself. And I didn't, and I end up succeeding in what I was trying to do. So I fall back on that from time to time just to think, you know, that I can do it if I try. I believe less in what men say, more in what men do. You know, talk is cheap. And when you talk about trying to create situations where young people could, you know, get to a point where they can economically, you know, supply for themselves, you know, I think in a large scale in this city, you know, we're lacking the leadership at this time to really go in that direction. And I've been preaching this for a while. You know, whenever I run across a politician or someone that said, what do we need to do? You need to start promoting positive. We talk about, you know, kids who want to be rappers more than they want to be teachers and lawyers. Well, they don't see black teachers and black lawyers on TV. You know, they see rappers on TV all day long. There's a lot of opportunity in Buffalo. It's just that we have to get some of our older leadership to understand it. And you know, a lot of times that older demographic and that younger demographic are so separated from generations because they, you know, the older people are more about trying to hold on to the power they do have, and the younger people are like, you know, they're not doing anything for us. And so I'm trying to kind of bridge that gap slowly, but hopefully it'll happen. That's kind of one of my struggles and one of the things I'm happy about. But I thought that's the story that I need to tell, because I think as young black men who look at me and try to use me as some kind of, you know, way to measure whether you can do something, I need to let them know that, you know, it was, you know, you can't have this mentality that, you know, all white people or all any kind of people are bad, because they haven't. My life has been people who I didn't know gave me opportunities that black people wouldn't give me, you know. And I love black people, of course, and I try to do everything I can, but The reality of my life is just that there were 4 or 5 black men that I thought were, I could really learn a lot from, who didn't give me the time of day here in Buffalo. Well, Late Night Noise started out as a music video show, and when we started doing the show, it was just music videos, and then we would just, I would pop up and talk a little bit, but then we went live. So I realized through the show that I had a very huge audience, not just kids. There was a void in Buffalo, and I was trying to fill that void by creating a program that would, communicate with the younger adults, not knowing that the older adults would just kind of watch because it gives them a chance to get a look at what's going on in the younger adults' life and culture. Me, I've been blessed to be able to get in front of, the kind of equipment that allow me to be creative, and then take that creative energy, create something, put it on TV, and get the feedback from that would kind of propel me to do it again. And that's kind of how my career, in television is going on. And I want to share that with young people. And young people see that. And kids always talk about, well, there's nothing to do. And that's part of the problem. A lot of young people don't have anything to do that's constructive and ongoing, and so you got to create that. Young people love to be part of something that's ongoing. That's how you really get them out of the streets. You do something, they do it once or twice, and there's all this extra time, they go back to the streets and get caught up in other things. But you give them something where they meet once or twice a week, and it goes on for week after week after week, and you feed them. They'll come back. They'll come back if they know that we can eat, we can learn something, and we can, hang out with people, that have the same interests as us. If you produce something and you put it on TV and you get credit for it, people come to you and say, I seen that show, that was great. That does a lot to a person's, self-control or ego or self-esteem. To know that you've been, noticed for your achievements or for whatever it is, that I see have the biggest effect on young people. When they come on TV and they do TV and they go out in the community and somebody recognizes them, that does a lot for them. They come back and they're ready to do it again and again and again and again. People talk about me as they walk past me, and I don't react till I hear it. So I'm sitting down with a bunch of guys, over on Fillmore, and it's like about 11 o'clock at night. We're just sitting down talking, and this guy walked by and like, yo, DT? I'm like, yeah. He's, oh, that's cool. And as he walked by, he's like, yo, dude, still be in the hood. That's mad cool. He still be in the hood. And inside I smile because, that's a real big compliment that they see you on TV, hear you on the radio, and then see you in their neighborhood where they don't see any politicians, any preachers, any teachers, So that kind of stuff really kind of recycles my batteries, and it makes me say, you know what, I like where I'm at. I like what I'm doing, and I hope to continue to be a positive role model for those who tend to look at me as a role model. I'm not perfect, and God is still working with me. I have my faults, but at the end of the day, I think I do more good than bad, and I'm proud of that.